Hey, welcome back once again to Jack's Tech Corner and another Photoshop Elements 11 video tutorial. Now in this particular video, as I'm sure the title already said, that's what brought you here, is we're going to see how to change our depth of field on a picture using just some very simple tools. And what that means is we're going to actually have our person or our subject in the foreground and everything else behind there blurred out a little bit. So it just will bring your person more to the front and everything else will kind of drop back into what they call soft focus. So let's go ahead and get started here. What we're going to do first of all is we're going to simply click on Control or Command J and we're going to duplicate that background image. Next what we're going to do is we are going to go and we're going to have to find a way to make a selection. So we're going to use our selection brush and we're going to click on Add. Now we could either do selection or a mask, whichever you prefer to do. I used to use selection a lot, but I've been using mask more and more just to kind of get used to how it works and how it feels. It's a good idea to blow your picture up, and I use the navigator over here on the right. If your navigator is not on, all you have to do is simply go up to the top of your pull-down menus, click on Window, and click on Navigator, just to make sure Navigator is on. And this allows us to zoom in and then move around a little bit. It just makes it easier to make a selection, especially when you're working with people's hair. So let's go ahead and get started here. So you see, as soon as we touch, everything is red. And what we're doing is we're adding to our selection, so we're actually masking out our selection, or we're taking out what we don't want to have in there. Now the overlay, you can turn that down on the overlay so we can see what's going on. And you turn it down just by going down here at the bottom and click on the overlay and going back. So let's keep going here with our selection. And we can select some of these hairs. I don't know how well it's going to come out in our overall selection, but we're going to try it anyway, just a few of them. And we'll raise this brush size back up. And I'm using my left and right bracket keys. I like to use those a lot when I'm selecting and using a brush because it just makes it easier than going over to the tool itself and using that tool. So I try to get all the edges first the best I can. And then once I get those edges done, so we can get these edges done here. And just like so. Getting a little piece of the hair right here. We'll just bring that in. Again, just like so. So we're just going over the hair. And we'll go over the rest of this hair. And again, I'm using the, like I said, the selection mask is what I'm doing here. I'm just actually painting on a mask. That's what I'm working on. And once you have the outline done, I suggest that you blow your brush up. So I'm using the right bracket key. And then I could just do this really a lot quicker. I'm going to mask everything else in. And once we get this done, and I really like these kind of silhouette shots. I mean, it's not really silhouetted, but more of a profile shot. I like the profile shots. I think they look really nice. The computer's keeping up with us there pretty well. Alright. So once we get this selection taken care of, right there, using a masking brush, make sure everything's good. What we're going to do now is we'll go over to the tool panel here in the bottom. And we're going to change this mask now to selection just to make sure everything looks like it's pretty well selected. And you can see there it is. It's pretty well selected out there. So we have a good solid selection, and it looks really, really good. Now, the next part of this, what we're going to do now is take that selection and we're going to do what's called an inverse. Now, what an inverse is going to let us do is it's going to select the background and not our foreground. To do that, go under Select on the pull-down menu and go to Inverse. Now that we have it inverted, we'll go ahead and pull the zoom back down here. We can see now that we have all the background images selected. We do have to touch up, since we were so zoomed in on her hair, we're going to have to touch up on the bottom here to get the rest of her. So let's go back. We're still on Add. And now we're on Selection. So let me show you how that works. If you're on Selection, just pull down by her here. We're going to inverse this again. Select Inverse. And we're just selecting her, so we're going to go down here and just select more of our subject here. Now you see how the selection works. If you're doing a selection, you just, basically it's picking up between the lights and the darks is what's happening. It's looking for a tonal change. Now by tonal, I don't mean, obviously voice tone. This is a tone of the coloring. And it can see that as you're moving along. As you're moving throughout your picture, it's going to see where that tones are and know what to select. It knows what you're looking for. Because we're going up the edge of her shirt. Right there. Just like so. Then we're going to open this up again. And we'll just select the rest. Just like so. And get this done. Go down here, make sure we have all this selected here. Now once we have everything selected, it does look good. Now we're going to go back up and do Select, Inverse. Now when you have it inverted, all we need to do now to create this visual effect is to just add some blur. So we're going to go to Filter, Blur, and most people like to use Gaussian blur, and that's what we're going to go ahead and use today. So we're going to use Gaussian blur. We're going to start pulling this out to see what kind of effect we have. And what it's going to do, it's going to blur what we have selected. That's why we had to make that selection, but not our subject. So there we go. We have a nice soft focus. I would say use about 10%. A radius of 10 pixels, and click OK. Once you get that done, all we need to do then is click Select and Deselect, or you can use your Command or Control key and D, and that will deselect. Now you can see how we dropped that background into more of a soft focus. So in other words, you're changing your depth of field. This would almost be like shooting this subject with an f2.8 lens, even if you don't have an f2.8. So folks, I hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial on how to create a background blur or depth of field, whichever way you want to look at this. And if you did enjoy it and you want to learn even more, stop by my website, jackstechcorner.com, and pick up one of the great training DVDs there. There's a ton of information and you're going to have hours of editing fun learning how to use Photoshop Elements. So again, it's jackstechcorner.com. I'm sure I have it here on the screen for you. And it's in the show notes. And pick up one of the training DVDs that helps to keep this show to continue. Once again, thank you so much for watching. And if you're not subscribed to my shows, please subscribe and comment and let me know how I'm doing. So until next time, keep those shutters clicking, keep your editors editing, and I'll see you back here very soon on another Jack's Tech Corner. Bye for now.